Next up on this list is Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen. It's very hard for me to put Keenan Allen down here because I think he's one of the best receivers in the game still. He showed that last year. This is a very hard person for me to rate. I will say this because I have so much confidence in Keenan Allen's ability, and I think he could still be a 100-catch guy, 1,400-yard receiver, seven, 8 touchdowns. I still think he's that player. But being in an offense with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, rookie Caleb Williams, where they've never had a 4,000-yard passer, rookie QB, on a 1-year deal, didn't get the long-term extension. I have my concerns. I have my concerns when it comes to Keenan Allen. So I think he'll be phenomenal. I think we're probably going to be getting value again with Keenan Allen. It's tough to draft him and it's tough to rate him right now because of the situation more than the player. I don't think he's getting worse, but I do think it's right to recognize the age. I do think it's right to place some other players with a little higher ceiling. But it's like we just saw the man come off of a crazy season last year where while he was healthy, he was a top 3 guy. And we're putting him down here in wide receiver 2-3 land. So I don't know, man. This is a big problem for me is trying to rate these guys accurately and making sure that I go for floor and ceiling. So just taking into account the age, taking into account the fact he plays in Chicago, taking into account rookie quarterback, taking into account his own injury concerns. That's the reason why I have him down here. Just the risk baked in as opposed to like, I think he could be a wide receiver 1, but I don't think I would rate him as that right now with the guys that are ahead of him. Next up in this tier, I think is a lock for this tier, and a lot of people are discounting Chris Godwin, who was in this tier last season and now going to be playing exclusively out the slot in a role that he prefers. The coaches are talking about getting him the rock a lot. To me, this is a no-brainer. A guy that's probably going to finish somewhere in the top 20. I think it's a no-brainer for where he's going right now. Give me Chris Godwin, who's going mostly outside the top 25, 30 receivers in most formats. I got 3 more guys in this tier. Actually, 4. I got 4 more players in this tier. 4 more. Which I don't know. I don't know the numbers on this right now. 6, 12, 18, 24. We're already at, what is this, 25 players already? Did I count that right? 6, 12, 17, 23. We're already at 28 players. This is 28 receivers already, bro. This is crazy. But before Amari Cooper, I'll do Amari Cooper right quick. Amari Cooper, down here in this range, and obviously the health of Deshaun Watson and the accuracy of Deshaun Watson comes into play here. He looks great down the stretch with Joe Flacco, but he was really inconsistent at times, and I don't really see him finishing as like a top 12 guy. I think he can be an inconsistent wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 for your team, depending on how many games he plays. But Amari Cooper's down here, man. Like, he plays in Cleveland. They traded for Jerry Jeudy, and they've been talking up Jerry Jeudy a little bit. Cedric Tillman's going to get a little bit more involved, supposedly. Obviously, the team has Elijah Moore, and we don't know what Deshaun Watson's going to look like this year. So a lot of question marks there, and he was barely a top 20 guy last year. I think he was wide receiver 22 last year, in a year where he played healthy and had a strong finish with Joe Flacco. So I like Amari Cooper, and I think he has potential, but I do have some concerns when it comes to him as far as ranking him above some of these other players. I'll take him down here. Then next up is T. Higgins, another wide receiver 2. When he plays, guys, like, it's easy to forget because we haven't seen T. Higgins finish a full season, but this is a guy, I mean, I was putting him in the top 12 last season. And now to come down here like wide receiver 30 range, to me, there's a lot of value. Like I said, this range specifically is probably going to produce the most value. It's going to produce a lot of value for the people that hit. Now, to call out the exact hits, it's tough to do, right? We're not going to be perfect with that, but the people who hit in this range are going to be very happy with their teams. So the more players you can get when it comes to like the wide receiver 2, 3 range right here, I think you're going to be happy with the team. But T. Higgins in a contract year, obviously down Joe Mixon now on this offense. They're going to have to go exclusively through Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and I guess, according to reports, Mike Gesicki. But T. Higgins is going to be a very vital part of this offense if he can stay healthy, which has been the big problem for T. Higgins so far. He stays healthy, he's probably going to be around 1,100 yards, around 10 touchdowns. That's just who T. Higgins is. But to get that kind of value down here, you do have to take some risk, and there is some risk baked in with T. Higgins right now. And then the last player in this tier, Scary Terry, who is like the old DJ Moore, right? a lock for 1,005. Like, we just know we're getting 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns out of Terry McLaurin. He's done it damn near every season. But the interesting note is, like, how will Jaden Daniels be here? Is Jaden Daniels going to be a lot better, or is he going to be similar to what they had in Sam Howell last year as a rookie, right? Like, Sam Howell last year threw for 4,000 yards, was chucking the ball every game. So Terry McLaurin had a lot of opportunity. It just wasn't accurate placement on the balls every time. Now, when it comes to Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels, they already have shown a strong chemistry. They're trying things downfield, and it's a brand new offense under Cliff Kingsbury. So would it be shocking to see, like, Terry McLaurin significantly outplay this draft spot up here in this range? I think we kind of know he's a wide receiver 2 or 3 at best. Like, that's kind of who Terry McLaurin is. He's pushed the wide receiver 1 at time, but I think he's more of like a high-end wide receiver 2. If Jaden Daniels is elite early on, he's going to be up here. Terry McLaurin will be up here in this range. If Jaden Daniels struggles a little bit like most rookies do, I think he's going to be more back here in this range. Like I said, over which one of you guys, these guys you taking down over Terry McLaurin? That's where I'm at. How do you guys feel about this wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 tier? How y'all feel? How y'all feel? How y'all feel? I am missing Jaden Reed in this tier. I think I got to put Jaden Reed in that tier, but I haven't moved him up yet. I got my new rankings dropping Friday. By the way, if you have not got the draft guide, it's loaded. It's loaded. So make sure to go get the draft guide. 50% off until August 7th. What's up, Jay? In your opinion, are there receivers that play for specific coaching systems that are going to boost them higher than people are projecting? I just talked about Cliff Kingsbury for Terry McLaurin. I also think Arthur Smith with George Pickens is going to get him involved in different ways. I love what Brian Callahan's probably going to do with Calvin Ridley this year, especially if he's calling him his Jamar Chase. And then Drake London under Zach Robinson is going to be crazy. I talked about every single coaching change in the draft guide too. So I talked about head coaches and offensive coordinator changes. I see your point with DK. I'm a Seahawks fan. What's good question. At the 105, would you take Jefferson or Amon-Ra? Depends on your risk tolerance, right? Are you going to go safe or are you going to go for the upside? That's what all that matters right there. Safe for the upside. I'm gonna be with you on Pickens ranking that year. I got you. I think Pickens in store for a good year, man. Wilson and Fields really got into a fight already? Wilson, you talking about not Roman Wilson, right? Russell Wilson and Justin Fields got into a fight? That's crazy. Yo, what's good, Cade? What's good? I think Smitty beats his ADP by quite a bit. I'm not mad at that take. It's just the receiver's deep. Receiver is deep. I know they picked up Hollywood and Worthy, but Rice will be just as good, if not better, than he was last season. I'll be talking about Rice here very soon. Tempering the expectations with Pickens because you think 90% run offense is crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Ronald, what's good, bro? Yeet Man was popping. K back in the chat. I just feel like I can't trust a lot of these guys, even the RBs. That's why we're down here, though. We're down here in the wide receiver 2-3 range because of that. I like a lot of these players, but there's risk built in. Otherwise, if there was no risk built in, I think we'd be talking about a lot of these guys as wide receiver 1s, but that's why they're down here. I knew you were fading Marvin Harrison Jr. Didn't realize that low. To me, like, it's funny when people say that low. Like, to me, I think that's respect. Putting him up there as a top 20 guy to me is respect. I think that's respect, but maybe that's just me. I mean, Olave, Cooper Kupp, Diggs, Pittman, Ayuk, Debo, Drake London. Drake London was a guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, Nakua had the year he had last year. Garrett Wilson, Mike, Devontae. Like, who are you putting? I don't know. I just find it tough to just move Marvin Harrison up there because that's the expectation. I find it tough. All right, next up, at flex. And he probably should have been up in the next tier, but Christian Kirk. I think that offense is going to look exactly like it did last year with Gabe Davis playing the Zay Jones role, Brian Thomas playing the Calvin Ridley role, Evan Ingram playing his role, and Christian Kirk still playing the same role he played. So I think for the most of the season, he was like in the top 15 to 20 range at receiver. He was really good. He'll probably be that. But I do think there'll be some weeks where we don't see enough of Christian Kirk. So I think he's going to be a phenomenal play. I would love to have him at flex. I might want to put him up in this tier, but I think he's more wide receiver 3 flex worthy than he is or wide receiver 2 worthy just because of this. I'm sure with injuries and shit, he's probably going to be a top 20 guy if he plays the whole year, but I got him down more in this range for the ceiling. I think he lacks a little bit of ceiling. Next up, I got Jaden Reed. And I'm really excited about Jaden Reed this year. I think they're going to try to get him the ball as much as possible this year. He was a top 10 guy down the stretch last year, and I would love to put him in this tier right here. Maybe I should. I'm coming around on that. I might have to do these rankings again once we get closer to the season. But Jaden Reed is climbing up my list, and I might be too low on him still. But we know that this Packers team also has Dontavian Wicks. They also got Christian Watson. And, of course, they have Romeo Doubs. The tight ends are healthy, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. Well, Tucker Kraft, I think, just got an injury. But Luke Musgrave is there. And then now the run game, too. They invested in Marshawn Lloyd. They also re-signed A.J. Dillon. And, of course, they signed Josh Jacobs to a pretty lucrative deal this offseason. So I think Jaden Reed belongs here. I would love to put him higher, and I might when it gets closer to the season. But for now, this is where I got him. Next up, if he does not get suspended, I think Rashee Rice belongs in here. A red zone target for Pat Mahomes last year. Closer to the line of scrimmage, intermediate targets guy. I think Rashee Rice could definitely duplicate his second half of last season. Now, the question is, does he get suspended? Another question is, how much does Hollywood Brown get involved now that they sign him? Another question is, how much do they throw downfield to Xavier Worthy? And another question is, how good does Travis Kelce look? So if his offense looks exactly like it did last year, Rashee Rice is going to go much higher. But if it is a little bit more of a higher passing attack, we see Pat take some chances going after records, which I think could be in play for Pat Mahomes this year. Rashee Rice probably belongs in this range because I think we're going to see Hollywood, we're going to see Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, all the receivers, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Isaiah Pacheco. We're going to see everybody involved with this Chiefs offense. So I think with the other weapons around him, I have him down here. Next up, a guy that, a lot of people like and probably have higher, Zay Flowers. To me, I love the receivers, man. I love receivers this year. I do. There's a lot that I like. But Zay Flowers, the one concern I have with him is ceiling. And obviously, Mark Andrews will be back this year. The offense is going to go through Derrick Henry on the ground game. Lamar is expected to be running a little bit more this year now that he's dropped the weight. Rashad Bateman's expected to take a leap up like he is every year, right? But I think Zay Flowers is just kind of capped at he reminds me of like Chris Olave, but just a tier down. Like we kind of know he's not going to be a 100-catch guy. We kind of know he's not going to be like an 8 to 10 touchdown guy. He just is who he is. And I think maybe the yardage can increase, but we're talking about guys that have like yardage and touchdown potential going ahead of him. I got Zay Flowers down here, man. It would take a massive leap for him as not just a player, but then his role in the offense to grow significantly. And this team probably would need to be pivoting away from like using Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely and the run game in the red zone and Lamar using his legs a lot more. So that's where I'm at with Zay Flowers. I think he can improve in yardage, but I just don't see a steep incline to like a wide receiver 2 spot for him for Zay Flowers this season. Next up, got to take a chance. Malik Neighbors. So Malik Neighbors obviously is, a lot of people like Malik Neighbors this year a lot higher than I have him, unfortunately. They have him. A lot of people have him in the top 25 range. And could he be a 1,000-yard guy? Yeah, I think every player I put on here so far could be a 1,000-yard guy. I don't see anybody I put on here that's just like, for sure, they're not a 1,000-yard guy. And when I think of what Malik Neighbors could be, I think his ceiling this year is kind of like 1,000, 1,100 yards with like 5 or 6 touchdowns. And it depends a lot on Daniel Jones too. Like I think he's an elite receiver, but you're paired with Daniel Jones, who can't hit shit downfield. So I think quarterback play is going to be the demise of Malik Neighbors, unfortunately. And when you have other receivers like Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be a possession guy for him, Jalen Hyatt's going to be a guy downfield. Darius Slayton's earned a role on his team offensively throughout the years, 600, 700-yard role at least. I'm not saying he's anything crazy. But Darius Slayton has earned a role. He's been the leading receiver on his team for a few years now. I just think that Malik Neighbors, if we're expecting Daniel Jones to be a 4,000-yard guy, then yeah, maybe I'm putting Malik Neighbors higher. But Daniel Jones is going to be around 3,000 yards. His career high is 3,200 yards. So I'm just not expecting much out of Daniel Jones this year, to be honest with y'all. And the offensive line obviously isn't great still. They made some improvements this offseason. But I'm still putting Malik Neighbors down here until I see a complete change and Daniel Jones' accuracy, and then we can start to move him up as the season goes on. But for now, Malik Neighbors down here. All right. Next up, oldie but goodie, DeAndre Hopkins. And a lot of people are fading the name DeAndre Hopkins. I still think he's got a lot of juice left, man. I would love to put DeAndre Hopkins higher, and I think he probably in real football deserves it. But when it comes to fantasy, I think he's going to serve as the 1B, maybe even the 2 to Calvin Ridley's 1. So, I mean, could he have a 1,000-yard year? I think it would be dumb to doubt DeAndre Hopkins and saying he can get a 1,000-yard season. But I think we kind of know this offense is going to shift towards Calvin Ridley. They also brought in Tyler Boyd, so he's going to be a part of the offense. Reminds me of a player who probably is going to be somewhat closer to like the 900 to 1,000-yard range. And it would have shocked me to see him like 7 to 8 touchdowns, though. I like DeAndre Hopkins. I just don't really see like a wide receiver 2 ceiling for him. He's more of a flex guy to me, in my opinion. Major leap expected up for my guy, JSN. This is kind of a leap of faith, putting him up this high. It's a leap of faith. And I think JSN should be a solid flex. He was close to he was a wide receiver 48 last year in his rookie year in a different type of offense. This offense suits him now. It's going to be offense that favors his play style. So JSN to me, I'm for sure going to be on JSN in a lot of drafts. I love his draft spot right now. He's going outside of top 40 receivers in most drafts. He has a lot of upside. And, you know, I've been expecting a first 1,000-yard season for JSN. Shouldn't be out the realm of possibilities. Now, could he still be behind Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf? Yes. Could Geno Smith not be good this year? I don't see it that way, but it's a possibility. Could the team still decide if they want to go through the run game with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet? Absolutely. But with Ryan Grubb there, who knows the talent that JSN is, I'd expect him to put him in good position. So JSN, to me, has a lot of upside going at this spot right here. I could clearly see him being in like the 1,000 yards, six touchdown range very easily.